I'm Lisa, the artist behind Lachri Fine Art. It is Tuesday, so I'm here to critique one of your original paintings or drawings. If you have an original painting or drawing that you would like to submit for critique, head over to my website, lachri.com/critiques. That link is below in the video description, as always, and you can submit your work there. There is a very long waiting list, though, so if you would like tips on your artwork anytime sooner than the next 2 years, you may want to post over at either our Facebook or Google Plus pages, where there will be lots of artists who will be happy to give you some advice on your work. This week's submission comes from artist Laura Mae Chapman. She has completed this drawing with a ballpoint pen. I'm always so amazed with you guys that do work that is this detailed with a ballpoint pen. Her goal here was to make it look as realistic as possible. The shading on this is beautifully done. I think capturing the direction of the fur, the overall drawing, I don't have your reference photo, but everything looks fairly accurate. If anything, the paw might be a little bit on the rounded side, but besides that, everything looks very accurate. Very, very well done. Remember, when you guys are painting or drawing animals, watch the direction of the fur and watch the length of the fur. One of the biggest mistakes that I often see people make is that they try to make these long brush strokes to make fur that should be teeny tiny short, and it makes it look overly fluffy. So watch that, and I think this piece is a great job of doing this well, of having each of the strands of fur be about the right length and going the right direction. Great, great work. So taking a look at a few things we can adjust to improve on this even more. First, I want to look at the actual position of the lion on the paper. Right now you've got where the ear is almost just barely touching the edge of the page here. You've got the bottom of the paw just barely touching the bottom of the page there. As a general rule, it's a good idea to keep your artwork either within an inch of the edge so you don't end up with it just barely touching the mat, because the mat's going to overlap that even more, accentuating that barely touching situation. So either keep your work within an inch of the outside edges of your paper or your canvas, or go right off the edge. It would be okay if the ear went off the page, but just barely touching the edge is one of those things you want to try to avoid. It draws attention weird where it just kind of stops right there. The next thing I want to look at is the shading between her head, her leg, and her body. Right now, everything is about the same value-wise. If you just darken some of that up, the shading behind her head and between her leg and her body, just a little bit darker will make a huge difference in making this look more three-dimensional. Right now, the fur's going in the right direction, so really it would be an easy thing to do because you would just take that pen and keep working over those areas a little bit more. But that will help make your work look more three-dimensional. The last thing I want to look at is that shadow underneath her leg, that straight line that goes across the bottom. When I look at this, my eye keeps being drawn to that straight, long, dark line. So an easy solution to this would be just to create a shadow underneath the lion so that she's not up against the white of the paper. Just do a little bit of shading there, and I continued that shading under the paw as well, which kind of helps solve the problem of the paw kind of just barely touching the edge of the paper. Now it almost looks like it just fades out where it kind of blends in with that. So it's an easy solution, and you can see the overall balance here. When we extend the paper out a little bit to one side, so the lion is her ear is no longer just right up against the edge there, and then adding the shadow underneath helps to center everything, and it helps to keep the viewer's eye so that it's flowing around the piece. So you're not looking at the piece and instantly being dragged off because the ear came off to the side of the page, and so your eyes just kind of followed off the page. Your goal is to keep the viewer looking at your piece as long as possible. So by extending the paper, adding the shadow underneath, it just creates a better flow, a better balance to the overall piece. This is beautiful, beautiful work. You've done such a great job. Have you subscribed yet? If not, I have a handy button right there. It's round, orange arrow going to it. If you click on that, that'll help you to keep up to date with all 5 of my new art videos every single week. There's also a notification icon that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But if you click that bell, that'll really help you to keep up to date when I upload a new video. I'll see you guys tomorrow.